down the rabbit hole. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry. Here we go. So what you do? Fists of Light and Dark. Okay, because in the story, it's like it's one of the only jobs that has elements in the story that don't translate into the job itself. Which, I mean, it's purely flavor for the most part, but it's still cool. And also, Chakra just being a simple 5-stack thing sucks. Sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. Okay, moving on. It sucks. It should be a Chakra gauge. How I imagine that being presented is that you still have, it fills up similar to if you look up Monster Hunter Longsword. If you're not familiar, you do attacks or whatever. It fills up kind of like the MNK gauge. It would fill up. It'd have the outline, the silhouette of a human body with the chakra network. You see it in, I think it's Hindu, or Buddhism, one of those. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you don't, look it up. Chakra path. That fills up. As soon as you hit that, you were at level 1. What you do to get to level 2 is a specific attack, which could be Tornado Kick. Boom, Tornado Kick. Level unlocked. Now you fill it up to level 3. And this is the same thing as Grease Lightning. Alright, this is taking the place of Grease Lightning. You are already attacking fast. Please stop. Stop. You get to the Grease Lightning 3, and it feels good, because you're attacking quickly. That's the point of Monk. That's the point. You attack quickly, you don't hit as hard, but you're attacking faster. Perfect. Love it. But then you lose your stacks, which is going to happen in the fight, and then you're slow again. It is still the worst feeling. At least they did away with it with Riddle of Fire, which made no sense whatsoever. And people used to argue, if you have Grease Lightning all the time, if you're that fast all the time, then you're going to be too strong. And what happened in Stormblood Shadowbringers? You have Grease Lightning almost all the time. It is almost never off. It's still annoying. Get rid of it. Because at this point, it doesn't matter. It's trivialized to the point where you just have it all the time anyway. Why not just have it all the time? You can still build up your strength. I don't care about hitting hard off the bat. I want to be as fast as I normally would be right off the bat. Period. That's it. Stop going back and forth. I tried asking that, and the translation just fell so hard on its ass. Like, something was lost there. Because it was just it didn't hit on anything I was talking about. I know, Ninja Huton had it all the time. I was so mad. I cannot tell you how mad I was that Ninja just came in and had Grease Lightning's damage buff toggleable and Huton just up. Immediately. You started the fight on Ninja with Grease Lightning. How pissed off I was. I switched to Ninja because I'm like, why am I going to punish myself? If a job wants my loyalty, it has to be good. Alright? So anyway, you do your rotation, you're doing your abilities, basically fills up, or you can even go into I think that'd actually be really cool. So Anatman, instead of, it could still be its own thing at some point, but something kind of like to this effect. Let me get a good look here. Where you start the fight, boom, it unlocks, you have your aura, right? That, like Blood of the Dragon, similar. It can be similar because it's good, alright? Because I know Yoshi P doesn't like, it's just going to be the same thing. It's not going to be the same thing. It looks the same because it's, and you want to mimic it because it's good. It's good to have a good formula, write it, have some variations so it's not a carbon copy, obviously, but something along those lines. You work it up, unlock level 2. Work it up a little bit more, then you have, say, Six-Sided Star. So all these abilities are still here. They already have the animations. And then, boom, you hit to level 3. Then you're still going, you're going. And then they need to add Star Shower from the 7 remake as like the level 3 or whatever. As soon as you get to level 3, right? Because, backtrack a little bit, how Longsword in Monster Hunter works. You attack to fill your gauge. The more, the stronger the hit, the more your gauge fills up. That gauge allows you to do a special move set, which then takes you to the next level. The more levels you do, the more damage you do. Then you at least need 1 level to do an ultimate attack. The ultimate attack decreases that level by 1, but you do a lot of damage. You do a lot of damage, and that would be where you get your burst window, where everything lines up. You're in Grease Lightning 3. I renamed all these things also in the video. You can go check that out. I'll link it here so you guys can at least have it open in a second. Okay, never mind. YouTube is dead. You are correct. It died. Anyway, you can look up DrakGamestein, my problems, or why I don't play Monk and Stormblood. It's an older one. A lot of my points still stand within it, though. Alright, so. Nobody hates Monk like Monk mains? Yeah. Would a form change, refresh, Grease Lightning ever use? See, that, to me, that's a moot point, Cat. Because Grease Lightning should just be reworked entirely. It's not a matter of it being up all the time, it's that it already is, and it's just arbitrary at this point. Like I said, one button hit, same as everybody else, you're in your stance, right? That is it, and then you get stronger as you level up. Like, having to hit another button, like, my problem is there's so much more work that goes into doing the same exact stuff that you get with Ninja, with Dragoon, with Black Mage, with who else? Samurai. Samurai takes a little bit more work because Shinfu and Jupu. With Machinist, kind of. With Summoner, not really. Summoner is good. I'm not gonna trash Summoner. Summoner's different. It takes a lot of work to get through it. It's fine. It doesn't need to be. But you're going through a lot of different extra steps for it, and that's kind of my issue with it. What job do I want to see next? I don't know. But yeah, it is exact what I recommended. Tifa from the Final Fantasy VII Remake is exactly Longsword from Monster Hunter, because you're attacking. You get your gauge, your ATB, right? ATB bar. Unbridled Strength up to level 3, and using a special attack drops you down 1 level. Perfect. That's a good trade-off. That is a great trade-off to just do your extra damage and whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know what other jobs. I've got everything I want in the game. I have everything I want in the game. No, Beastmaster. Do not put it as a limited class. I will be... Don't put it as a limited class, Square. Don't do it. There are ways to do it. There are ways to do it in the Final Fantasy XIV format. Do not Blue Mage it. I swear if they Blue Mage it. Tornado Kick would not get rid of your stacks. It would drop you 1 level. That would be the idea. But make it like Star Shower. Make it Star Shower. Make it Star Shower. It is the coolest. It is the coolest animation. Necromancer. Has Necromancer ever been in a fight? That's like... It seems dark for Final Fantasy. I say that. The story's been pretty dark, but... I don't know, Necromancy is just... You're going with another pet class, and they don't like pets. My idea for Beastmaster utilizes pets, but there's no AI involved. So that's why I say it can be done in a Final Fantasy way. I guess it could be done through Necromancy too. It's just... It's been in Final Fantasy V. Okay. Beastmaster would not. Not the way I've theory crafted it in my head. New class, I always think of vampire type class. Takes health. The only issue is that you can't do it in Final Fantasy XIV because there's unavoidable damage in Final Fantasy XIV. Using health as a resource would be perfectly fine if you weren't always guaranteed to take damage, because you'll just be killing yourself the entire time. Even increasing your max health has killed people in raids because it's percent health, just outright, and you'll just die. So I absolutely agree with you that a vampiric type class would be cool. I do agree with you on that. I don't think it would work in Final Fantasy XIV for that reason. What I'm asking for Beastmaster is basically having each pet being more of a stance where the animation is there. You go through it, you unlock different pets. Each pet has a different effect that corresponds with your main actions. So you're like your main rotation would change depending on, like the effects at the very least would change depending on what pet you have. Could even turn you into like a mid-range where you take out a crossbow. If you have like a falcon, so you're doing ranged attacks with it. It's like basically like it's not actually attacking for you. It is attacking with you. And it's honestly Beastmaster in flavor more than actual you have pets to do it. Because there's no reason to do Beastmaster. Like Beastmaster in Tactics wasn't a pet class. It was a summoner, essentially, where you just use an item and it would summon the monster in the area and it would do an attack and that would be it. I don't know Beastmaster and other ones, what they did for it. In 11, it doesn't make any sense to have that iteration in 14 because there's no solo content. You're essentially having another thing, but again, it is having another summoner, and that's not what I'm aiming for. That's not what I'm asking for. So I understand the initial thought of, oh, that's just another pet thing, but it wouldn't be. That's why I say I've idealized it in a way that does not require to rely on the AI system that they currently have in place. Yeah, Noble 6, that'd pretty much be what it is. So you're getting the... I always think of them as dual axes, dual hand axes, and just seeing them basically doing flips and throwing them like tomahawks, where they tomahawk like a Fire Emblem style, like the old sprite. You just throw it out and it comes right back, and you're just doing cool flips and shit and all that stuff with it. So the version of it, yeah, I like Palace of the Dead. Palace was fine. You just need to have more checkpoints. That's all. My biggest issue with Palace, I didn't actually do Heaven on High much. It was fun. I think it's cool. Thank you, Scheiden, for the bits. I like it. I like it, but you should have been able to start at floor 100, at least, in Palace of the Dead. You shouldn't have to sink 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours into just getting from 50 to 200. It sucks so much. Beastmaster would be, or Whip would be cool. Yeah, I want to do a video on it. Hopefully get people just interacting in the conversation about it. And who knows, maybe Square will see it. A lot of I had people come to me as soon as Monk got their little rework at the beginning of Shadowbringers, and they were like, they listened to what Drak was saying, and I don't know if that's true. If it is, then that's awesome. I'm glad that they listened to it and that they thought my ideas were cool or good enough to implement. At the very least, we had parallel thinking on it, which is also just really cool. It's a good confidence booster. Yeah, I'd like to do it. I'd like to do more. Good enough. I'll go down here. That's all you really need to see of it anyway. You may have noticed that I haven't played Monk much at all this expansion. At least, not in the usual endgame content. Excellent use of sound effects. That I used to. I've gotten it to 70, tried it in a raid or two, but ultimately I haven't found much enjoyment. Okay, so this is just basically me establishing why I basically can talk about it. And I played through the Stormblood endgame raid, the last tier, on Monk, to show that it wasn't because I couldn't play it effectively, you know? Be giving potential solutions and why I think they'd be beneficial, so it won't be a pure gripe fest. There will still be plenty of griping though, so just hang in there. We're also going to be talking about the Monk questline story, so there will be some spoilers for those of you who haven't played of what I believe job identity done right looks like. You have a base Lancer class turned Dragon Slayer after inheriting the power of dragons. While you're well versed at fighting other enemies with your lance work, it is easily adapted to take the fight to the dragons in the skies through your new jumping attacks and piercing buffs meant to break through dragon scale. So here I'm talking about more like flavor, again, right? Flavor stuff. And if anybody wants to watch this in its entirety later, here is the link to that. You train more and eventually tap into the blood of the dragon coursing through you, making your jumps more powerful, adding an ability, Goggle, that appears to merge dragonic power into a lance-like thrust. You also have new lance attacks based on, or at least named after, dragon abilities.
Even further down the line, while nearly always in Blood of the Dragon now, your jump attacks are not only empowered, but give access to a new ability, Mirage Dive, which in turn empowers Blood of the Dragon to the point where it ascends Gearskgu into the new form of Nestrond. Whew, that was long. Even if you don't like Dragoon or how it plays, you can still see how well each ability ties into each other and continues to evolve as you grow in level. It feels deliberate and is, in my opinion, effective.
So again, that is, it plays well, it flows well, it feels good. Right? And that's, for me, for my critiques, that's what I'm basing most of this on. How do I feel about it? Do I enjoy it? What makes me enjoy it? So that's what most of this is based on. Excuse me. Let me move this up a little bit and then... Calm down, calm down. Calm down. Gear squiggle, also acceptable.
Whether that makes it fun boils down to an individual's desired playstyle, but for those who do enjoy it, it seems to have everything needed for the kit to be cohesive, synergistic, and overall complete. It's been able to evolve around its foundation. This is where I think Monk has all the ingredients it needs to do the same, but the execution has left it in a bit of a jumbled mess. This brings us back to the original question of, what is Monk as the Warrior of Light? To get the best answer, you have to look at the components. Pugilist.
Again, so this is still talking about flavor and feel, and why I think that there are adjustments needed there.
And Monk together. Pugilist focuses on attacking fast rather than hitting hard. Smaller attacks over a shorter period of time leads to more damage overall, and the more you fight, the stronger you become. That's the concept of Grease Lightning, which is arguably the defining feature of what Pugilist is, as well as the main source of gripe for all of us who have had the displeasure of losing it mid-fight. At least back when it wasn't so easy to get it back.
Let's face it.
I don't want to face it, you badly animated monkey. I want to talk to my... I don't remember putting ads in this video. Drak, you freaking shill.
Fast forward a bit to unlocking Monk.
You gosh dang
While
idiot.
Chakra, or Chakras, weren't introduced as a gameplay mechanic until Heavensward, unlocking it or them was the base requirement for becoming a monk at all.
Isn't that weird though? Still super weird. Right? That's weird. That's weird. What do I need to unlock this job? Chakra. Okay, when do I use it? In 2 years. Probably like 5 years by the time they actually got around to it. Since friggin'... That's right, this is a react video now. I'm reacting to DrakGamestein. Heard a lot of people talk about him. Anyway, stupid. Moving on.
All back at level 30. Even though Chakra are introduced as internal points needing to be unlocked, it is still stated that they are used to empower yourself through the mastering of monk martial arts. Every monk in the story, except us, gets a really cool aura when fighting because of it as well. Eventually we're able to harness chakra energy into...
Again, did nobody else notice this? Did anybody else not like some sort of power up or a Notman where you, boom, now you have like, Grease Lightning could have been that much cooler.
To powerful abilities such as Forbidden Chakra and probably Elixir Field, even though the latter doesn't actually consume the resource in any capacity. Purification is there too, and is nice in theory, but as long as you properly use Invigorate, there's no need for it. Finally,
talking about TP in 2020.
Finally, apart from the 7 original chakra you unlocked, gained over some 5-step process since we only have 5 job quests, they introduced 7 new chakra in Heavensward. The original are of light, and the latter are of shadow, or darkness. Through the story, you find out that you can unlock all 14 to wield the ultimate power of the monkhood. And you do, unlock all 14. Nothing else happens though. You could get the ultimate power, or a killing technique, or a power-up, but you don't. The game does tell you that it's possible though, just not for you.
Can you feel my sass? Can you feel the salt? Get a drink, everybody, because it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
I guess. But the option is there. Or something. Right now all I'm getting is the ultimate feeling of blue balls.
Still have not recovered. They're about to fall off. They're exploding within my scroty.
In any case, both of these elements are fine in terms of how they work, but they work separately from each other.
Exploding my scroty. Sorry.
Peripherally, Grease Lightning provides damage up, which boosts the power of Forbidden Chakra. It also increases skill speed, which gives you more opportunities to land critical hits and gain more chakra stacks to use Forbidden Chakra more frequently. That's where the interaction ends though. Chakra, on the other hand, does nothing to enhance Grease Lightning, provide new abilities when both are maxed out, or even give you the option of gaining Grease Lightning faster or...
So what I'm trying to point out here is the contrast of Blood of the Dragon versus Chakra, where Blood of the Dragon is very much integrated into what Dragoon is, and Chakra is needed to be a monk, but is so peripheral, it doesn't even feel like a part of the job, really. It is RNG based for the most part, which is ridiculous. It's just there. Chakra is just there.
Prolonging its duration. It is entirely disconnected. I didn't mind this as much in Heavensward because Chakra was still a new system they were playing with. Now that we're in Stormblood, especially after seeing how jobs like Dragoon or
Shadowbringers, and still the same thing,
Paladin evolve so well, the issues are a bit more glaring. To break up the negativity for a moment, I do want to highlight the additions to Monk's kits in Stormblood that are actually perfect examples of everything I'm talking about.
See, not all negativity. I'm trying to give them some credit. You gotta, constructive criticism is a pointing out what is wrong and why. Okay? And a lot of people still don't get that. A lot of you guys do. This community has gotten a lot better with that. When I get a negative comment and they tell me why, guess what comment doesn't get deleted? That comment. Guess who I listen to? That person. I may not follow exactly what they say, but I listen, weigh it. Is it in line with what I want to do with the channel? Does it make sense for the videos? Are they just not going to enjoy the rest of the content? You know, it's... What is wrong? Why is it wrong? How to fix it is optional, in my opinion, because you don't have to have the solution to point out that something isn't working. You can bring it up to find a solution, or just let people know what you don't think is working. That's fine. This is the makes your comment an ultimate though. This is ultimate. You know, offer a solution, shows that you're invested, that you care, not just about your own experience, but the content that you are ingesting, that you are participating in, that you are experiencing. Right? Moving on.
About here. To start, the Deep Meditation trait gained at level 62 ties in perfectly to the lore. By taking part in combat, especially in a place with residual aether from past conflicts, you unlock your chakra. It only stands to reason that, after you've unlocked them, that the aether built up from subsequent combat would empower you. Then we have Brotherhood, which is unlocked at level 70. It perfectly encapsulates everything I just mentioned about chakra, while also adopting the mantra technique of Pugilist, then meshing the two together.
It's an AoE, the same vein as chakra, or as mantra, buffs the party, and you get chakra based on it from your party. That is just the epitome. It is the epitome of monk abilities. Do not change it. Do not take it away. It is perfect.
It's the use of internal energies to strengthen your allies for combat while also attuning to their own ethereal exertion to draw it into yourself in the form of chakra energy. Admittedly...
Okay, but let's look back at those two abilities. In your 60s or 70, you unlock Monk at 30. You unlock your chakra to become a monk at level 30. Thematically, just purely thematically.
This is also strikingly similar to the ability shown during the level 60 quest, just with a bit more consent and mutual gain. Neither of these things play into Grease Lightning, but they still stay true to the lore and combine the aspects of both Pugilist and Monk together as I believe was intended.
Like, you don't have any sort of energy siphon ability that he shows off. Like, you can't absorb chakra from... Like, I guess you kind of do, from getting crits. Technically, that's the same animation, but anyway.
Okay, angry face back on. While levels 62 and 70 were right on track in my opinion, everything in between started to go a bit off the rails. I know that plenty of people have expressed their displeasure with tackle mastery, and part of my critique will touch on that as well. What I have to say about it goes a bit beyond just saying it's dumb, though, and it all comes back to the fist stances of Earth, Wind, and Fire. To be honest, I'm surprised these weren't just scrapped during the battle system rework. They're barely used, have no place in the lore of either Pugilist or Monk, and aren't even exclusive to one another. I don't have a problem with them individually, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't use Fists of Earth for a spicy AoE.
I still stand by how clever this joke is. Minimum brain power. Perfect execution.
in Raid or Fists of Wind during Titan Extreme before the servers were adjusted. What I do have a problem with is that they're taking up space that could be used by abilities that make more sense and add more to the gameplay. More on that in my later suggestions. Now onto the riddles. These riddles, alongside the changes to perfect balance.
It was a cover version that was not copyrighted. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna do this joke, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna get dinged for it, and it worked out. So you know,
balance are a big reason why I initially stated that the focus for Stormblood Monk was skewed to say the least. Almost everything revolves around Grease Lightning to a ridiculous extent when it arguably didn't need any changes at all. In fact, it hasn't changed, or improved, or evolved. You just get to keep the same stacks easier or build them faster with far less punishment when you lose them. At this point, there's really no reason to require the already arbitrary 3 stacks to cap it in the first place. Samurai and Ninja already get their skill speed buffs within a single skill or ability, or ninja.
See, I touched on this earlier too, like an hour ago, where it is so much more arduous just to get the same, you're getting to the same exact spot, like power-wise, and it takes so much longer for, like, you need an extra long cooldown for it to work out. It's just, it sucks so bad.
Jutsu if you're gonna split hairs. The power boost is either a couple global cooldowns in, or just inherently there. If Square is so concerned with helping monks keep stacks, they could make it easier to achieve via combos, abilities, buffs, or even chakras. After looking at...
Sorry, stopping it again. And as soon as Samurai got their meditation stacks, it's consistent. What does Monk have? RNG? Interesting. What does Samurai have? Consistent gain? Okay, just making sure. Throwing it out there. Oh, but Drak, you could just hit meditate and you get it. And I'll touch on meditate in a second in this video.
Totally not parses, uploaded from all over the world. Even with Monk having Grease Lightning so much, their damage isn't near becoming disproportionately higher than any other jobs, even in 06 Savage. So that argument goes out the window too. I think having Grease Lightning more is a good thing, but the way they went about it was not. Okay, before you start in the comments, I'm well aware of the drop stacks and monk damage memes that have come from my own channel. I'd like to remind those of you who are unaware that those were all jokes. Not retroactively, not now that things have changed. They were, and forever will be, jokes. Just monk damage stemmed from me stating how happy I was that my bootshine crits had hit a new milestone, to which our tank replied with his Spirits Within crit, which did as much if not more damage at the time. We won't even go into Fell Cleaves. But to hear that, at least in single attacks, a tank was doing more than a DPS became a popular joke for the rest of that expansion. It made no difference that the tank in question had mained Monk for a lot of 2.0 and knew perfectly well how it worked. Jesse.
Yeah. Jesse's the one that started that shit. So anytime he gets, like, he gets crap for Astro now, we're just like, oh, what's that? Monk damage? No, normal monk damage? Is that what you're getting mad about? It's a good argument, Void Hunter.
As far as dropped stacks go, if you knew a fight well enough, it was rarely an issue. Not much has changed there,
here, yeah.
aside from the now 20 to 30 second phase transitions they decided to add to each trial. Some circumstances made it more difficult than others, such as jails in A7S, to the point where it was just better to have the warrior take over instead of a monk.
True.
For the most part,
And people still made fun of monks for like oh, Drak, you're a bad DPS. It's like, you drop your stacks, you're done. You lost all your damage, which would be fine if you could get that back in a button press or two. But Monk has gotten seriously shafted in the design realm for ages, and it has gotten better. And thank you, Square Enix development team, for making the changes that you have so far. I really, 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 really do appreciate it. Despite my over negativity, just for the sake of, you know, humor, it's not lost on me the amount of effort that's gone into making it more playable. It needs more of a push still.
part though, my biggest gripe with losing stacks was that it took so long to get the skill speed back. It's like getting a slow debuff, since most of your time in combat is spent at the higher skill speed. Then the boss disappears and, oh look at that, slow motion. It was a punch in the gut when Ninja was released, and we found that not only was their damage increase a toggled buff, but you could also immediately get your skill speed increase as well. It made what monks had to do seem like jumping through a bunch of arbitrary...
And we talked about that before, too.
Well, they just have to warm up again. Those 15 seconds they stopped punching really took away their edge. I know this is a bit of a strange tangent for those of you who aren't familiar with this channel, but if I was ever going to address these remarks, which also come up very frequently in stream chat and video comments, this monk discussion was the time to do it. Where was I? Ah yes, riddles. Interestingly enough, it's the riddles that correspond to the fifth stances gained as a pugilist that assist in building or maintaining Grease Lightning stacks. I even rather enjoy the Riddle of Wind opener, but I'm not mad at Grease Lightning being more accessible.
Which I'm pretty sure is gone now. But I do like the option to go back and forth, either having more skill speed or more damage. The Fist of Fire and Fist of Wind is fine. It should be Fist of Darkness and Fist of Light, though. That's all I'm saying, to be more thematically correct with Monk, or at least more enjoyable personally. Okay? And then Fist of Earth can be changed to something. I touch on this.
It's just that the same effect could still be achieved without taking up all those ability slots. Then you have Riddle of Fire from Monk, and what you get is a complete contradiction to what Pugilist and Monk have been up to this point, while giving nothing in terms of identity for Monk. Okay, so we've got this job that crams a lot of smaller attacks into a short window of time. How do we improve it? Let's make them hit really slow, but a lot harder. Brilliant. As I said before, the biggest discomfort with losing Grease Lightning wasn't the damage loss, it was the skill speed loss. No one likes being slower than they're used to. Then the biggest damage boost we get not only has no connection to the background of Pugilist or Monk story-wise, but does the very thing we hated to begin with. It honestly just seems like they were taking community complaints at face value, then made changes to appease them without really caring what.
So when I talked to Yoshi P about this, that's why I think that something was lost in translation, because I talked about, that interview is still up, like what I asked. It's like it gets faster, then it slows down. What's the deal there? And he's like, well, right now you have less gear and you'll get more skill speed as the gear increases. I'm like, that is not what I'm talking about right now. But like, I have a limited amount of time and I can't correct. I don't know enough Japanese. It was such a, What do I say Light and Darkness do? Same thing as Wind and Fire. It's just a change of name. That's all. Yeah, I've got, oh my gosh, guys, I am the worst when it comes to, like, I start a business, I run everything, I stay on top of myself to get stuff done, I push aside as many distractions as I can, but can I set aside 15 to 20 minutes a day to learn a language that is right in front of me? No, I can't. Anyway.
Whether or not it made sense. If you want big numbers and a slower rotation, play Dragoon, Black Mage, or even Samurai. This change simply does not line up with how Monk has played up until this point, and for me and many others, it has made the job incredibly uncomfortable to play, which is why I haven't been. We can give them the benefit of the doubt by saying it was to make up for Forbidden Chakra having its potency nerfed, but being available much more frequently. Riddle of Fire having a similar cooldown with Brotherhood implies that they should be used together, and in that way it could be argued that it was meant to be used for Forbidden Chakra. But that all ignores the fact that they could have added new Chakra-based abilities, put Forbidden Chakra on a cooldown, retained its original potency, and run with it in that way. It is still random whether or not you'll get the Chakra procs you need, which means you're still stuck with relatively turtle-slow global cooldowns while you wait for your Chakra to cap. I'm glad they at least tried to give us something, but as with the other things I've mentioned, the execution is just not there in my opinion. I will concede that the damage Monk does in Stormblood is satisfying and that the utility was much needed, but that's not really anything special. Viable numbers and utility are great, but they should be the baseline for any given job, not the selling point for one.
Watching AoE go on too, the AoE rotation's great. They did a good job, especially with the whole thing of keeping up Twin Snakes and all that. That was a good touch. Excuse me, I appreciate it. It was much needed. Thank you. Alright, just getting that out of the way. Yeah, I'm really... To touch on language real quick, sorry. I'm thinking about uploading this to YouTube. Maybe just for fun. I'll react to my reaction to my own video. I learned orally. So, like, sound and all that stuff, but I work by listening to stuff going on in the videos, not just like if I was just inputting stuff like programming or whatever, I'd have more time to really utilize how I learn the best, but I can't. And by the time I'm done working, I'm just exhausted mentally, and it's just sometimes I go through it, I do a little refreshers and it comes back, but it's just tough. It's tough. I need to get better at it.
Considering the endgame content is based around groups of 8. Without an interesting, cohesive, and concise kit that stays true to a job's identity, it detracts a lot of enjoyment out of playing it for me. Otherwise, there's no point in having lore, storylines, or establishing specific playstyles based on those things in the first place. Giving Monk a giant sword while channeling the power of their inner darkness is still technically Monk if that's what the game calls it, but that doesn't mean it makes sense. Though, of course, that also doesn't mean people won't enjoy that too. For me, however, a job needs to 1. Play and
that's just me more playing semantics to make a point, but I stand by it.
Flow well through its rotation and abilities. 2. It needs to have a clear identity and playstyle and stick to them. And 3. It needs to look really cool while doing all of it.
Now again, saying, for me, a job needs. This is my critique based on my experience. And not everybody's going to share that, and that's fine. I will still argue it. I'll still defend it. I'll still stand by it. Doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just... That's why I really like Samurai. That's why I really like Dragoon. It's why I've been enjoying Summoner. It's why I like Black Mage. All that stuff. Really cool stuff. It really ties it all together. Looks good. Feels good. And it is what it says it is, you know? Black Mage does black magic. Summoner summons things, kind of. Dragoon is a dragon lancer. You know?
All of those things. These are criteria that I hold for any game, whether it be Final Fantasy XIV, Monster Hunter, or anything else that establishes a theme with the battle disciplines you can choose from. If Square, for whatever reason, decides to change the lore and what Monk is at a later time, then that's something else entirely. I may or may not enjoy that iteration, but if they treat it with the same care they gave to jobs like Dragoon, then the chances of me liking it are definitely higher. At the very least, I could praise it as a well-designed job, even if it didn't fit my desired playstyle. Regardless of how I feel about how Monk currently is, I'm also aware that a good number of people are happy with where it is and how it plays. They keep their stacks with less headache, their damage numbers are more than viable, and they have utility which gives a place within endgame meta teams. If that's you, please understand that I'm not trying to prove you wrong or convince you that Monk is inherently bad, because it's definitely not. These are just my opinions on where it is now, and where I think there's a disconnect between the expectations I feel were provided by the game and what we were given.
Okay, so this is more of a it's an arbitrary point for the most part. Just kind of driving home what I wanted. I'll skip ahead real quick to the actual stuff here. To be my opinions on how to fix it. But again, it's just like People can enjoy it. People can like it. I don't. This is why. That's it. That's all this has been, and how I think it can improve. Again, with more information now, it is essentially what I'm asking for here is what Tifa got in Final Fantasy VII. I'm not, and this is just to reiterate. Oh, sorry. I also wanted to say that yes, Monk was good. I cleared the final tier of Omega on Monk, even though I could not stand how it played. Okay, that is still. I played Monk in the last bit to prove a point. I did not enjoy it. I would have much rather have played Samurai. I want to play Samurai again. It's just Monk is not there yet. It's gotten better, not there yet.
Providing criticism without some idea of a solution. You know, being constructive. Anyway, if you don't care about what I have to say, this is the time to check out. For those of you willing to humor me, these are my suggestions. Number 1. Remove fist stances from Pugilist and shift them to Monk in the form of a light and dark fist stance. This one is tricky because I still don't know what either should do, or if they should even be stances rather than different types of chakra you store up. Something similar to Red Mage's white and black magic gauge, though not just a carbon copy of it.
So in this one, I'm more just saying that it should replace fire and wind at this point. There's no real need to make it an actual difference in stance. That complicates things a little bit too much, perhaps. There could be some cool stuff that you can do with it, though.
Aside from what's mentioned in the story, I thought the dual aspect akin to yin and yang would also work well with the martial arts motif. It also gives an opportunity for Chakra to be more involved in the rotation by providing some more variety, though hopefully without oversaturating.
Sure wasn't a carry.
Number 2, an actual Chakra gauge.
No, I'm not.
The story had you unlocking Chakra in 5 steps originally, since that's how many job quests you had, but I don't think limiting our Chakra pool to that number makes much sense. Even the 14 Chakra you unlock through the story aren't necessarily the resource themselves, but rather points within your body that allow you to channel energies through said points. Plainly put, we don't have to stay married to this concept of only 5 Chakra. We can lift that number into a gauge similar to Wrath or Ninki, but perhaps in the shape of a body with the glowing Chakra points.
Yeah, so that was I talked about this earlier in the stream, but that image right there.
To a gauge similar to Wrath or Ninki, but perhaps in the shape of a body.
Something like this, or, you know, sending whatever it is and just have the different points of Chakra, you know what I mean? And that would be just how the gauge would look. It really wouldn't do anything, it would just be a visual representation. You could still have 5 points, you could have 100, you could have 50 points. It doesn't really matter. Overall, it's just the concept of having a gauge that fills over time.
With the glowing Chakra points, changing colors if they go with something along the lines of light and dark Chakra. Another option is to build off of the ramping damage concept Pugilist had, where each Chakra point needs time to awaken or fill.
I did play Kung Fu Master when I played Blade and Soul. It was really, really, really fun. It was really, really, really fun. It was really cool. I really enjoyed PvP on Blade and Soul. It just took a really big learning curve because you had to learn every. It was a fighting game. It was essentially a fighting game, and it was just frustrating when you didn't know what to do, especially since there was a little bit more freeform than any fighting game has. It didn't have the structure, but it still had similar things. Anyway, it was cool.
Cool with energy. The higher the Chakra, the more powerful your techniques get, the more you have access to, building up to this ultimate attack that expends that Chakra, exhausting your Chakra points, and having you start over while your body recuperates. This would also allow us to move away from the Chakras being used as the resource, but more of a roadmap to the rotation. Add cooldowns to abilities we already have so they can't be spammed, throw in some new ones, and then use those abilities to take you to the next.
Gosh dang it, Drak.
Full Sail University is a
Full
place
Sail
where
University,
creative
blah blah blah
dreamers
blah
go to
blah
learn
blah
their
blah blah
craft.
blah blah blah.
Okay, here we go.
Number 3. Add more Chakra-based buffs and abilities. Going off of that last point, there are a couple of things that I personally would like to see added.
Okay, I think
To
this
start,
gets into.
I think a boost that gives something along the lines of Chakra-empowered blows would be amazing. We saw something similar to this in the Stormblood opening sequence.
Oh, dude, the blue balls of this scene. Oh my gosh, we got nothing even remotely close to as cool as what this scene was. I was so sad. Like, Monk, it's the Monk expansion. Monk got shit on.
Where there was energy saved up around the Warrior of Light's fist,
Sucks
but
so
nothing ever
much.
manifested itself in the game. Perhaps it could be an ability that needs to charge or is only applied to a single weapon skill to increase the potency on a cooldown. Next, I'd really like to see a more consistent buff that ties into Grease Lightning. Every monk in the story has an aura of chakra around them when they're in battle.
Okay, again, I kind of touched on this before. I would just like that little power-up animation. Boom, you have an aura. Same, basically, Blood of the Dragon. It just operates a little bit differently. You're building it up to 3 times, and then using your ultimate attack knocks you down. So it's still technically like a tornado kick, but you're not killing your damage entirely just to be able to do that. Or it works within your rotation where it's actually more potency to go back and forth. And you keep your skill speed. Oh my goodness, stop taking away skill speed. I hate it. I hate it. There's one thing, there's a difference. There is a difference between something like Black Mage, where you are slow most of the time, and then Ley Lines speeds you up, whereas you're fast most of the time, and then stuff slows you down. That is a huge change in how it feels. You know what, like, Monk, in my opinion, still gets the better end of that deal because you're faster for longer, but it feels way, way worse when you're used to it and then it gets taken from you versus when you're used to being slower and then it lets you be faster for a short amount of time. That's the key to it. That's how you change the feel of it. And it's something so small, but it is very impactful. It's a similar thing to how things can be seen as incentive versus like being strong-armed to do it in order to experience like content or something like that. Oh, they're making me do this in order to get it. Oh, I feel forced that I have to do this, or I'm missing out on content. Whereas like, oh, I get to do this content that nobody else does or that people normally don't, so I get rewarded for doing that content. It would be similar to saying like, oh, the only way for me to get decent experience is to sit through the main scenario. No. You sit through the main scenario, you help people out, you get rewarded with experience. It's a similar shift. It's framing. It's a difference in framing. And some people really like to screw with it to make everything seem like it's a bad idea just because it's not. Arguing that those people just drives me crazy, and it's so exhausting because it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. And just having to like hold my tongue on that just is very difficult.
Every monk except us. Whether it be a trait that plays into the chakra gauge hitting a certain point, or an ability you can only use at that point, something to take Grease Lightning and make it a true Pugilist Monk hybrid would be great. Maybe it stays as a consistent buff when merging with the chakra points until they're expended with the ultimate attack. Maybe Grease Lightning needs to be capped in order to break through to a certain level of the chakra.
Did I talk about that ultimate attack already? I think I touched on, let's move on real quick. I think I was talking about naming stuff.
The tiger or something. Trait. Keep the power increase gradual as we fight, make balance changes so it's not over or underpowered, and we're good to go.
Talking about Grease Lightning again.
I know. Grease Lightning is a reference to speed, so the buff can't be called that anymore if we remove the skill speed aspect of it. But we can give that name to the trait and call the power boost Eye of the Tiger or something. Then we have our Grease Lightning trait to speed us up, Eye of the Tiger to boost our power, and Koji Fox or whomever gets their fix of 70s movie references. Win-win. Number 5.
I was proud of myself for that
Ranged attacks. We're the only melee class without a ranged attack. Chi, Ki, or Air Blast have been in the series for years, specifically for Monk. Maybe it consumes some chakra with each blast, or maybe you need a certain level of chakra to use it at all. Regardless, I would like to see an ability that gives...
Why don't we have it? Why don't we have it? We still don't have it. It's been an expansion and we don't have Ki Blasts or Air Blasts or anything. Punch the air. Whoo, sends it out there. Boom. Or you just little orb of energy. Pew! Dark Knight gets it. Dark Knight gets their orb of energy to throw out at something for their ranged attack. Monk gets nothing. We get nothing, my friends. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's most of like what I wanted to talk about with it. Like if you want more of it, the video is there, and some things definitely have changed with Shadowbringers, more so than I can really touch on at the moment, because it's yeah. Howling Fist was great. Oh man. Anyway, I really think like along those lines that's what I wanted to see. Riddle of Fire was fixed. Let's look at some of the stuff. I hate this maternity dress, by the way. It's still so bad. Ugh. Riddle of Fire's been changed. A Knotman looks really cool. Like, this is probably visually the best ability Monk has gotten. Unfortunately, kind of misses the mark because it is not used very often. Its purpose is pretty good. I enjoy it. It's nice. Boy, oh boy, it's just... It's good. It's good. It's a good ability. Let me switch back here. Hang on.